Hello everyone, my dear explorers of the forbidden. Your trusted sexologist is here, ready to strip bare the soul and, perhaps, a few unspeakable secrets. Today we're heading to Paris, to the heart of the Latin Quarter, to a place that smells of old paper and stories that were never printed. Imagine a bookstore, not one of those modern ones with coffee and Wi-Fi. No, this is a real one. Dust in the air, shelves reaching the ceiling, worn wooden ladders. And in the back, hidden behind a tattered velvet curtain, a special section. That's where they met. Or rather, where they encountered each other for the first time outside the sterile world of NASA. She, Dr. Anya Sharma, female, 38 years old, 1.68 meters height, long dark brown hair, often tied back, deep brown eyes, subtle smile lines, no facial hair. A brilliant mind, a doctor who healed bodies and, unknowingly, awakened other things. He, Commander Jake Riley, male, 42 years old, 1.85 meters height, short gray flecked brown hair, kind blue eyes, slight 5 o'clock shadow, a scar above his left eyebrow. The man who had touched the stars. The embodiment of discipline, bravery, and an insatiable curiosity for the unknown, both in space and on Earth. It was supposed to be a casual encounter. Both in Paris for a conference. Both with an afternoon off. Both with a shared secret, a fascination for certain, rare volumes not found in just any NASA library. She wore a simple dress, but one that moved in a way that, well, that made you forget gravity. He, in a normal shirt and trousers, but with that aura of someone who has seen Earth from above and knows there are perspectives that change everything. They met near the Oriental philosophy section, a code for something far less academic. Their eyes met. A spark. Not one of professional recognition, but of something older, more primitive. Jake smiled. A slow smile, the kind that melts ice caps. Dr. Sharma, didn't expect to find you here, seeking truth in ancient texts, eh? His voice was deep, like an echo in a space capsule. Anya adjusted her glasses, a nervous gesture that betrayed the calm she tried to project. Commander Riley, I've always believed some of the greatest explorations don't require rockets. Her reply, seemingly innocent, carried a double meaning he instantly grasped. They ventured deeper into the hidden section. Books with worn covers, titles in strange languages. The air grew thicker, laden with dust and anticipation? Yes, definitely anticipation. Jake ran a finger along the spine of a book. There are worlds in here, Dr. Sharma, as complex and vast as the ones we see from orbit. His voice was soft, almost a whisper. They were inches apart. Anya felt the heat radiating from him. A different heat than the sun coming through a spaceship window. This was earthly, dangerous. Some worlds, she replied, her voice barely a thread, are better explored in private. Jake looked into her eyes. There was no room for science or safety protocols. There was just chemistry. An inevitable reaction between two elements finding themselves in perfect conditions. They moved, almost by inertia, towards a small corner with a worn velvet armchair. A perfect nest, away from the curious eyes of the shopkeeper or any other absent-minded customer. They sat down. Not too close at first, maintaining a distance that decency, or caution, dictated. But the air between them vibrated. You could have cut it with a scalpel. This place, Jake said, his voice still low. It has its own secrets, doesn't it? Like us. Anya smiled again, this time a real smile, small but intense. We all have our hidden corners, Commander. Mine, sometimes, require a different kind of exploration. The conversation meandered between anecdotes from NASA and the subtext. They spoke of the vastness of space, but their eyes spoke of the vastness of the unexplored between them. Jake leaned in a little closer. You know, Dr. Sharma, in space, every small detail is crucial. One incorrect reading, and everything can go wrong. His gaze briefly dropped to her lips. Anya felt a shiver, despite the heat of the moment. Absolutely, Commander. Precision is vital, especially when navigating unknown territories. Their knees were almost touching. The air, previously thick with anticipation, now crackled. It was the calm before a perfect storm, one only they would feel in that small corner of the world. Jake reached out a hand and touched the cover of a book Anya had on her lap. A touch that lasted a second too long. A touch that had nothing to do with the book. Anya's fingers moved, almost imperceptibly, brushing against his. A microgravity of desire in a universe of strict rules. It was a silent dance, dangerous and thrilling. Jake withdrew his hand, but the connection lingered. It was as if their fingerprints had been imprinted, not just on the book, but on each other's skin. They spoke of the loneliness of space, the pressure of Earth. Safe topics, but ones that resonated strangely in that place. Were they talking about their lives or the distance they had to keep? Anya crossed her legs, the movement causing the hem of her dress to slide up slightly. A small, perhaps unconscious, act of rebellion against the seriousness of the conversation. Jake noticed it. Of course, he noticed it. An astronaut trains to observe every detail, every anomaly. And that small gesture was a fascinating anomaly in the doctor's usually controlled demeanor. Paris, Jake said, changing the subject abruptly. It always struck me as a city that holds secrets on every corner. And some bookstores, Anya added, her voice tinged with playful irony, keep them between their pages. The wordplay, the constant innuendo, was like a dance. One step forward, two steps back. Testing the ground, probing the limits. Jake stood up. Anya looked up. The height difference was noticeable. He loomed over her, an imposing yet not threatening presence. More like, protective, perhaps. I think I've found the volume one was looking for, he said, not referring to any particular book. His gaze said everything. Anya stood up too. Now they were face to face, the space between them reduced to almost nothing. The smell of old paper mixed with the faint scent of her perfume and something else. Something electric. And have you found it, Commander? She whispered, the question a mere pretext. Both knew the answer. Jake raised a hand, not to touch her, just to brush a strand of hair from her face. A simple gesture, but charged with an intimacy that made Anya's pulse quicken. His fingers brushed against the skin of her cheek. Soft, delicate, a contact that lasted only an instant but felt like an eternity suspended in time. Anya closed her eyes for a second, taking in the moment, the risk. The thrill of being on the edge of something, unknown and exciting. When she opened them, Jake's blue eyes were looking at her with an intensity that shook the foundations of her self-control. It was the look of a man who has seen the void but finds a new universe in her. They stood like that, in silence, amidst the murmur of the books and the distant Paris traffic. Two worlds softly colliding in a dusty corner. Jake leaned in slowly. Anya didn't move. The air grew thick. You could hear the beat of your own heart, or perhaps theirs, echoing in the small room. Their lips were about to touch. Jake's warm breath on her face. The moment was exquisite, prolonged, charged with all the accumulated tension. And then, a sound. The jingle of a bell at the bookstore's front door. Someone was entering. The outside world breaking into their bubble. They pulled apart sharply, as if an invisible force had repelled them. The distance returned, but the air still vibrated with what almost was. Anya brought a hand to her chest, feeling the frantic beat of her heart. Jake straightened his shirt, his face a mask of forced composure. We should go back, Anya said, her voice slightly shaky. The conference. Yes, of course. Duty calls. They walked back through the aisles, among the dusty books. The magic of the corner was broken, but the connection, the almost, persisted. Reaching the exit, they paused for a moment. The Paris sun bathed the street, a stark contrast to the intimate gloom they were leaving behind. Well, Jake said. There was an implicit question in that simple word. Anya looked at him. In her eyes was a mix of regret for the interruption and a tacit promise. There are many books in this section, Commander. Many worlds left to explore. Jake understood. The spark hadn't gone out. It had only been postponed. The exploration would continue, but at another time, in another place. Or perhaps, in that very corner, another day. They stepped out onto the street. They said goodbye with a professional handshake, but the brush of their skin, however brief, reignited the undercurrent between them. They parted ways, each going their own path, back to the world of science, spacesuits, and medical diagnoses. But something had changed. They carried with them the scent of dust and secrets from that bookstore. The doctor, her mind on the stars and her heart beating for something much closer. The astronaut, his feet on the ground but dreaming of forbidden orbits. And so, my friends, that's how sometimes the most brilliant minds, the ones who dare to explore the cosmos, find their greatest mysteries and temptations right here on Earth, in the most unexpected corners. In a hidden bookstore in Paris. Between dusty pages and unspoken promises. Between a NASA doctor and a man who has floated in zero gravity. The universe is vast, yes. But the space between two people, that's the real abyss. The one that calls you, tempts you, and makes you question all your coordinates. Will they return to that bookstore? Will they find that volume they were seeking? That, my curious friends, is another story. Or perhaps, the continuation of this one. What I do know is that afternoon in Paris, among forbidden books and knowing glances, the universe of two people expanded in unexpected directions. And sometimes, just sometimes, the greatest adventure isn't reaching the stars, but exploring the uncharted territories of human desire.